Malaysia, a bustling metropolis that's a manufacturing powerhouse. It's also an island city whose beauty attracts tourists all year round. But this expansion comes at great risk. With the population booming, waste management is proving ever more difficult. Pollution is compromising the landscape, both natural and man-made. Penang is on a mission to find sustainable ways of protecting its treasures. Otherwise, its days as a boomtown might be numbered. Asia is booming. Its population nearly quadrupled within a century. These boomtowns are fueled by more than human or natural resources. Radical innovations are making them livable and sustainable. But the challenge of achieving these innovations can be tough, and the answers are never straightforward. Asianopolis. This is what a 25th century city might look like. An urban utopia where sustainable developments play a vital role in millions of lives. Here, organic methods of green technology have evolved to such an extent that everything could be recycled, even excess food. This is the organic converter, a unit which uses microorganisms to recycle waste food, creating a biofertilizer for homegrown vegetables. This organic recycling would be practiced in every household in Asianopolis, a sustainable initiative that originated from developments in the 21st century. Since it was founded in the 1700s, Penang had grown in prominence as a port city. Those days, though, came to an end in the late 60s, when Penang's duty-free port status was revoked. The city had to reinvent itself.
We have got to change from agriculture-based trading to manufacturing sector.
This adaptation saw Penang's population and economy boom over the next few decades. Penang now boasts an estimated GDP of more than $15 billion and houses around 1.6 million residents. But this success comes at a cost. Its urban developments have created negative consequences. One of the side effects of this growth is inevitable waste.
All the dump sites which we have are all open dumping. The smell itself, the pests, the rats, is just very, very scary.
It's not just valuable space that's taken up. The site is also littered with organic waste. This attracts pests, creates harmful gases like methane, and encourages bacteria to thrive. It's a biohazard.
As far as this management is concerned, it is indeed very hurting to hear our minister saying that Penang is the rubbish dump of the Orient.
An SOS was sent out, and it was answered by someone who lived thousands of miles away. For the past 20 years, Australian Ken Bellamy has been working on a remarkable idea: to use nature against itself. His weapon of choice, microorganisms.
There are things that are small that are not good for us, but there are a whole range of organisms that are essential to our survival.
In the 80s, Japanese scientist Dr. Teru Higa had discovered that a microscopic army of bacteria could be created to digest organic matter and kill bad germs.
The understanding that it was possible to grow sets of microorganisms and use them, train them up, just like we would train other animals, so that what they do actually provides an outcome that we want.
There are key strands of bacteria that enable this. The photosynthetic bacteria are the commandos, which break down or digest organic waste. The lactic acid bacteria are the soldiers that hold down the fort and prevent bad germs from growing. While the yeast are the artillery unit, which provide enzymes and other substances to help digestion. Ken's plan was to use these organisms to convert organic waste into a nutrient-rich biofertilizer. Over the years, he experimented with many different microorganic solutions that were in the market. But he kept facing a stumbling block. Each organism only eats certain types of food before releasing a byproduct. And when this food is used up, the organisms die. What Ken needed was to get certain organisms together so they could live off their regular food as well as each other's byproduct.
I actually went around the world looking for formulations that hung together, where people had put together a mini ecosystem and they could put it in a bottle, basically.
In 2010, Ken finally found his winning formula, and he called it the Bioregen Bokashi. He presented his plan to Penang's leaders. But having a good idea wasn't enough. Implementation was the key. Using it in the landfill was not an option, as that would mean valuable land would still be needed. The solution was to make a machine that would recycle the organic material as soon as it was considered waste. This is the Bioregen Unit. The Hengi High School is one of the first venues to have the unit installed. The first step in using the machine is to add the bokashi, as well as a microorganic cleaning solution to prevent the machine from collecting germs. Then all the waste food is added to the chute. A pedal at the base turns on the faucet and the grinder. The water and waste mix with the bokashi and the cleaning solution in a central chamber, where they go through a dual grinding process, producing a fine organic slush. The solution is then transferred to a large retention tank to ferment for 28 days. The end product is a nutrient-rich biofertilizer. By the end of 2012, 11 units were fitted around Penang. And the public are now becoming more aware of this green initiative and doing their part in proper organic disposal.
I found out yesterday there's a unit that's been purchased that's running around Penang in a mobile circumstance. I didn't know that was happening, but that's fantastic, you know?
In 2012, over 70 tons of organic waste was recycled. But years of neglect have already taken a toll on Penang. Its rivers bear the signs of pollution running rampant. In 25th century Asianopolis, war would be waged against pollution at a microscopic level, where microorganisms would be used to recycle organic waste. But these microbes would also play a role in maintaining the health of nature. And water management robots would be their vehicle. Armed with an arsenal of microorganisms, these robots would patrol the waters of Asianopolis. When pollution is found, these machines would dive in and release their cargo periodically, allowing the organisms to naturally nullify the negative bacteria and return the water to a healthy state. This method of using nature against itself would be one of the hallmarks of the success of Asianopolis. And it was in the 21st century that this idea was born. A time when the effects of decades of pollution had caught up with Penang, Malaysia. Penang's fortitude in manufacturing has seen it become one of Malaysia's biggest economies. Industries are thriving on the island, and grander developments are being built. But the trade-off to this growth is inevitable pollution. Of the 36 rivers in Penang, only 7 can still be classified as clean. 11 rivers have been identified as needing extensive treatment, while the remaining 18 are so badly polluted that marine life is at great risk.
Since I'm a kid until now, I've seen a lot of changes in Penang River. It has been deteriorating to a condition that almost all the rivers, the pollution level is so high that you are not even allowed to touch the river water.
For the past 3 years, John Su and his partners from Team 3 Envirotechs have been working on solving this problem. But cleaning the river and keeping it clean wasn't a straightforward task. The conventional method of cleaning was through desludging, pumping up the polluted water and dumping it somewhere else.
To me, this is not solving the problem there and then. You are actually transferring the problem to other place and not also solving it, just dump it somewhere else.
And then, in 2007, John came across a revelation. The effective microorganism technology that Japanese scientist Dr. Teru Higa had created in the 80s. The same principle that has proved successful in Penang's recycling of organic waste. These effective microorganisms, or EM for short, center around three key strands of microbes: photosynthetic bacteria, lactic acid bacteria, and yeast. When they work together, they're capable of digesting organic matter and killing harmful germs.
When I first found out about this technology, I got very, very excited because I think that this would be the solution to help Penang. It is an organic way of healing the environment.
But before the good news could be shared, John had to find a way to implement this in the river. And it was easier said than done. Rivers are constantly moving.
When we use EM to pour into a stagnant water, it works well. But when you use EM to pour in a moving or flowing water, it will be washed away.
In order to keep the solution anchored to one area, tests were conducted with microorganism-infused mud balls. There was, however, a major drawback. The bacteria hold the mud ball together, but they don't have a constant food source. This means they begin to expire, and the mud ball starts dissolving. The remaining bacteria then get washed away. So John had to go back to the drawing board, but this time he added two key ingredients.
What we do is actually we add in the rice bran and molasses into the EM solution and mix it together with the mud so that the bacteria has a food supply and they will maintain in the mud ball for a longer period. For example, if you throw it into the river, it could last more than 3 months.
The way to make these special mud balls is to first mix the earth with rice bran. A mixture of microorganisms and molasses is then added in. The glucose from the molasses and the protein from the rice bran immediately start providing a rich energy source for the bacteria. Then it's just a matter of mixing it all up and making fist-sized balls. Once done, the mud balls are left to ferment and harden. Armed with an armada of mud balls, John Su worked with the state government in 2009 in a pilot project to clean up Penang's rivers. The results were amazing.
Our first largest environmental project was the 1 million apologies to Mother Earth, where we make 1 million mud balls to throw to the rivers in Penang State.
Within 6 weeks, the sludge was gone. So too were the foul odours, but more importantly, the marine life had returned. With the project a unanimous success, other areas were targeted for treatment. Many local organisations teamed up with John to play their part. And as the public gained further awareness, Penang's rivers started getting cleaner by the day.
We have been throwing this mud ball here for a couple of months already. It seems to be very effective and we can see some good results also.
By early 2013, over 1.7 million mud balls have been used in Penang's rivers. And the results are there for all to see.
I believe EM technologies has already bring a lot of good things to Penang. The awareness itself, the change of attitude in people, in throwing rubbish, in spitting on the street, this has changed the mentality of the people.
With the state of the rivers improving, Penang turned its focus to other areas of the city that needed urgent attention. Places that were being compromised at a daily rate. In Asianopolis, the city of the future, sustainability would be the prevalent mantra. And each resident would practice this ideology on a daily basis at home. Thanks to this biofuel conversion unit, a device that would collect all used oil and convert them into fuel for the city's monorail system. This reuse of waste to create energy is common practice all over Asianopolis. And it was due to events that unfolded in 21st century Penang. The diversity of food in this island city has always been abundant. And the common denominator to it all is the use of cooking oil.
All Asian food have got deep frying, or even all the other preparations still involve the usage of oil. The national statistics at the moment is about 200 milliliters of oil per individual per day.
Every month, Penang's population of over 1.6 million people consume around 2,000 tons of cooking oil. Worth its weight in fuel, that's more than enough to power a Boeing 747 from Penang to Hanoi in Vietnam. But all this cooking oil has a limited lifespan. It can only be reused 3 times, after which the oil gets traditionally disposed of down the sink and into drains. Eventually, the oil makes its way to the sea, where marine life face extraordinary risk.
As soon as you've got a layer of oil above the seawater, you inhibit oxygen from entering the water, and then all sea life in that water then does not have a source of oxygen and then perish. So imagine the huge amounts of oil that is emitted into the water, what kind of damage it can do.
Penang's need to address this problem was dire. And in 2012, Dinesh Sinha came up with a solution. A modern approach to an established technology that's existed for over a century. In 1893, Rudolf Diesel invented the first diesel engine. And during his showcase, the engine ran on fuel of an organic nature, peanut oil. This use of vegetable oil to power machines is a far more sustainable alternative to fossil fuel. But there's a flaw in its design, which prevents it from taking over as a leading fuel source. The molecular structures of diesel and vegetable oil. They're similar in content. Both are made up of hydrogen and carbon atoms. But their structure is clearly different. Diesel has 1 molecular strand, while vegetable oil has 3, and they're linked at the end. This link is called an ester. When temperatures drop, the larger molecular chain of vegetable oil causes it to thicken up into a gel. But this can be changed by a process called transesterification. When methanol is introduced, the ester is broken and 2 new products are created: glycerine and biodiesel.
Biodiesel is an organic fuel that is available today, and it poses to be a much more viable alternative as it can be produced from waste.
But transesterification alone wasn't enough for Vinesh and his team. They discovered that all cooking oil contains free fatty acids, compounds that cannot be converted in transesterification.
Unfortunately, as people use the oil more and more, the free fatty acids level rises, and by the time it reaches us, sometimes it goes up to 10%.
If Vinesh and his team didn't find a way to remove these free fatty acids, their biodiesel would cause problems in engine performance. So Vinesh and his team decided to make their own concoction. And finally, after numerous trials, they found the perfect blend. Playing a major role in this special concoction, sulfuric acid.
If the free fatty acid levels are very high, then we would add an additional chemical into the transesterification process for us to accommodate higher free fatty acid level oils.
In 2012, Vinesh and his team at Sustainable Biofuels Malaysia set up their operation. A unit capable of handling 13,500 litres of used cooking oil a month. The first step in the process is to filter and heat the oil. This removes all sediments and moisture. Next, the acid compound is added. Transesterification then takes place, leaving behind biodiesel and glycerine. The glycerine is then sent to pharmaceutical companies who convert it to soap, while the biodiesel is cleaned and heated to remove any moisture. The final product is ready-to-use biodiesel, a fuel that produces 60% less carbon than normal diesel. The entire process takes just 8 hours and converts 150 kilograms of oil into 150 liters of biodiesel.
All the biodiesel that we produce is distributed within the Penang state itself to people who use unsubsidized fuel, which is generally the industry. We ourselves use biodiesel, and that generally is used in our pumps, in our lorries, and in my own vehicle.
With their trucks running on biodiesel, Vinesh's team make daily trips across the city to collect used oil from individuals and public places. And as public awareness of biodiesel increases, more people are beginning to recycle their cooking oil. Initiatives like this are exactly what Penang needs in its efforts to become a green and sustainable city.
Opportunity does not knock on your door twice. Given an opportunity to leave a legacy, we must leave the legacy. We know that we have got to showcase Penang because Penang needs to lead. And when Penang leads, then we can even bring a better tomorrow.
Using organic methods to eradicate waste, clean up pollution, and recycle used cooking oil, this Asian boomtown is seeing its vision of sustainability come to life.